And today I'm here at Private Label, and we are going to be showing how to get your unit jet black. Yes, ladies, jet black. We all love a good, nice jet black unit. The very first thing that we do after we purchase our hair, 9 times out of 10, we're going home to dye our unit jet black. Well, today I'm here to tell you that jet black unit will be available here today at Private Label. So to begin, before I get started, the very first thing you're going to do is, while performing this method at home, is put on your safety gloves. Now, also too, I already have my boiling water, and similar to like what I said with my other videos, is you want to make sure the water is hot, but not so hot where it's burning off your fingers. Please be safe if you are doing this method at home. So moving along here with my products today, let's talk about them. First, we're going in with our popular Adore color. We all love a good Adore. We have our jet black here. We have 2 bottles of this color. We also have our Got to Be Freeze spray, and this protects the lace to ensure that none of the black color is transferred over to the unit. And lastly, we have our Private Label conditioner that's going to add back moisture to the unit once we're complete. So before I begin today, I'm going to hold this unit up and let you guys see it. It's currently the natural brown color that majority of units are when you purchase them. This is a pre-made unit today. It's a body wave, 18 inches. We were going for something that's very natural, very everyday. And before I begin, I'm going to just first, make sure all of the hair is pulled back. And one thing is with private label units, we already have our elastic bands on the inside, and you also have your adjustable strap. So you don't have to worry about the wig not being too big or too small. It is adjustable, and you can adjust it to your liking. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to go in with my freeze spray, and this just makes sure that the lace is still nice and once you're done coloring the unit. So I'm just going to hold this in, flip the unit over, and then I'm just going to spray, spray, spray. Then I'm going to grab a brush from over here just to make sure that all of the flyaways are also pulled back as well. And what you want to do is you want to let that freeze spray dry. You want to let that dry. And what it does is it just protects the lace from any color getting on there, which is very important because you don't want to attempt to part your unit and we see black scalp. So it is important to make sure that you do that step as well. So I'm just going to brush the hair out. And brushing the hair allows the color to penetrate through all of the layers of the hair. So you always want to make sure that it has no naps going into it. So just always make sure you brush, 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 and simultaneously allow that first coat layer of the Got to Be to dry. And as you can see, it is drying right now, and it kind of has like a little glare. You could tell something is on the lace, and you just let it sit there for a while. And then what I like to do is I like to go in one more time with my Got to Be just to do a second protective coat layer before coloring. So I'm just gonna go back in one more time. And again, once you wash out the hair, you don't have to worry about any of the Got to Be still being stuck on the unit. So now I'm going to start with my jet black. And as you probably seen with my last series, is that you don't want to use too much product too soon. So the very first thing I want to do is, of course, open the color. So I'm going to go in, take this off really quickly. And then I'm just going to start like this, and I'm going to squeeze it in. So I squeezed about half of the bottle in for the first round. I just noticed that I missed mixing this. I think I can use this though. Okay, so then you want to go in with your mixing brush, and then you just stir it up. Now, again, we are doing the water method dye. So what that means is you take your nice hot boiling water, again, at a temperature where you can put your hands inside of the water, and then you throw in a little bit of the hair product, and then you just stir, stir, stir. Once you begin to stir, you will notice that the color of the inside of the bowl turns the color of the dye. Now, one cool thing about this method is, one, you use way less product and achieve the exact same look. Because if you were to manually do this by going layer by layer of hair, you'll probably use 4 to 5 bottles of dye versus just getting your 2 bottles of dye, and you may even have some left depending on what color or the look you're trying to achieve. So then after you stir, you will begin dipping. Now, after you dip, you continue to kind of rub your hands through the hair and add in color on an as needed basis. So I'm just gonna dip this again. Now with your jet blacks, you do have the option to also use a permanent hair dye too. So if you know for sure that you're never going to adjust the color of this unit, this is going to be your nice jet black hair that you're going to use consistently for every time you want something dark and you never plan to go in and add any highlights, you can go in with a permanent jet black, or you can also use a door. But keep in mind that when you use that door product, sometimes you will have to, over time, go in and touch up that black, which is expected because a door is a semi-permanent hair color. It is not a permanent color. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to keep a color in permanently, you may want to go in with a permanent color, or if it's for temporary use. I mean, and again, it'll still stay fairly black and dark, but if you did decide that you want to go in and add highlights, that is something that you would be able to do with the semi-permanent color. So I'm just going to pull this over here, pull it out, and I'm going to go in and add some more color. Now, because we are doing a all jet black unit today, it's not as visible. You can't see the water lightening up as you would with a lighter color, but that's okay. We are still making progress with this unit. Me personally, I just always like to go in and put in a little water in here to make sure that I'm using all of my product and not leaving any behind. So that's what I'm doing here, just making sure all of it is out. Just gonna place this over here, and then I'm just gonna stir, stir, stir. And the reason why you always want to make sure you stir a generous amount is because you do not want glops and color of hair on certain parts of the unit. Because we're doing a jet black unit, it wouldn't be as visible, but if you were doing this process with any other color, it would be. So just keep that in mind. Pull my sleeves up a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to hold my unit up again, and then I'm going to dip it. Make sure that you are rotating the unit as you're dipping. You can also let it sit there for a few seconds to make sure that it is absorbing all of the color, because you would let the hair sit, of course, if you were doing this manually. So I'm just going to make sure that the hair is fully being covered and just let that sit for a while. Also, too, my personal preference is anytime I use any kind of hair dye. Of course, today this is just, we are not using any bleach, so you don't have to, but I still highly recommend letting your unit air dry. That's my favorite method because, you know, after putting the hair through a process, a lot of times it just looks a little bit better and more hydrated when you let it air dry, but you do not have to if you're in a rush, but that's just my personal preference. So now I'm going to go in with my second dye. As you can see, the unit is already turning a darker color versus before. It was a lighter brown. Now you can see that it is slowly appearing black. So I'm just going to go in with more black dye. So now we're just going to stir it. And you just take your time with this process until you're satisfied with your color. So I'm just going to let that sit for a second. Okay, so I'm just going to let this sit for a second, and then I'm going to pull it up again. And now look at it. You can now see that we are coming into this nice, deep, dark jet black. Just going to rotate the unit a little bit. And again, rotating the unit just allows the color to go through completely all layers of the hair. And I'm just going to pull this back out and put this over here. The wig already looks really nice, but for my personal preference, I'm just going to go ahead on and finish the bottle just to make sure that it is as dark as it can be. And I'm going to follow the same process of making sure that we have no leftover product in the bottle. Dump it all in. And again, you can do semi-permanent or permanent hair. It's completely optional. You don't have to use a permanent hair dye. You can use a door. Either works fine. They both achieve the same results. The only difference is that with semi-permanent hair, the color can be dyed another color versus permanent cannot. Also, too, if you come in today and get a unit at private label, we do now also have Adore products downstairs. So you can take that home with you as well if you wanted to do this method on your own at home. But the jet black unit will also be available here as well. I know a lot of times when I have clients reach out to me for a unit, they always ask like, "Oh, can you dye my unit jet black for me?" And this is what hairstylists do. We go in and we dye the units up front for you. And sometimes so you can purchase units with jet black up front, and you will now be able to do that here at Private Label as well. So I'm just gonna let this sit for about 30 seconds now, make sure the color is in as much as possible. Then from there, I'm gonna take a look at it. And from there, we're gonna go in and wash it out. Now, I will say when you are wearing colors on units, one thing you want to consider is that make sure that your flat iron is not on a super, super high temperature. And this applies regardless of whatever color you have. The color will fade a little bit if you kind of go over 400. So just keep that in mind that you don't want to have your flat iron on your normal 450 if you do like to use your flat iron on a higher level. So yes, I am very satisfied with the results of this unit. So now I'm just going to sit it right here for a second. The hair is kind of hot still, so I'm gonna let the hair cool off for a second, and then I'm going to rinse it out. In the meantime, I'm going to take the rest of this hair dye and dump it out really quickly. While you're performing this process at home, make sure you have like your towels or your trash bags, whatever utensils you have, so that the color does not get everywhere, because you will have to kind of leave something on it to get the color up. So just keep that in mind when you are doing colors at home. So I'm just going to put the unit inside of the sink now. And from here, I'm just going to give the unit a nice wash and condition. So after you go through the process of putting the color on, you want to make sure that you continue to rinse thoroughly to ensure all of the color is out. That way it does not stain your clothes. Semi-permanent colors can stain your clothes, so you want to make sure that you get all of the excess color out of that unit. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this off for now, and then I'm going to try out the hair. Okay, so now after you make sure your hair is dry, if you did not add bleach on the unit, you can wash it if you like, or you could just go in with the conditioner to help hold that color. So this is our final product. This is what it looks like. Now I'm just going to go in with some conditioner and let the unit sit just to add back moisture to the unit. And from there, we will then have a separate part where we go into how we style the unit after the unit air dries. So now I'm going to go in with our private label conditioner that's also available here today as well. And let me go in and enter some of this inside of the unit. So just give me 1 second. Me personally, anytime after I color the unit, I like to use a generous amount of of conditioner. And the reason is because you want to make sure that that moisture is added back to the unit. You don't want to walk around with a dry wig, especially on the closure and or frontal. Just make sure that you use a generous amount and you get through there so that once you're ready to style the unit, it is ready to wear again, and you don't have to worry about using a large amount of holding spray because the hair is flying away. So this is what we look like now, and I'm just gonna let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. What you can do though is you could put it in a bag or you can let it sit in the sink. It's totally optional. Either way, the unit will still be okay. So just let it sit, and for today, that will be it, guys. This is going to be a two-part video because we want to show you what the unit looks like once it sits in that conditioner, after it fully dries, and then style that unit. So thank you for joining me today. And again, my name is Asjah. My Instagram is at the Wig Lab. There you can find some of my work and some of my colors that I do outside of private label. But again, some of my custom units are available here at private label, as well as jet black coloring that we're adding